here. Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. For those of you that are international. Oh, we got a little music happening in the background there. I see Laura starting to dance a little bit, or Lori. Anyway, I am super excited about today because this is actually one of my favorite topics. It's, obviously it's a chapter in my book, Right or Almost Right. But this whole concept of biggest mistakes, ever made. As I talk to people and I'm helping them troubleshoot their business, it seems like I constantly say, one of the biggest mistakes, that we make, one of the biggest mistakes that we make. And so I'm very, very excited about this particular topic. And I'm also excited about next week because next week we are going to talk about tools and the magic of tools and how to use tools. And matter of fact, we could, even talk about that from a standpoint of the biggest mistakes, people make because they don't use tools properly. You have to set a tool up, right? I mean, you have to, you have to get someone excited about the tool for them to review the tool, the video, the website, whatever it is that you might send. But we'll come back to that. But next week, I'm excited because it's going to be about tools. It's going to be about how to use tools, when to use tools, how not to use tools, the biggest mistakes people make when they're using tools. But tools is a very, very important part of our business. But today, here we are, the 6th of August. I can't believe how incredibly fast this year has gone. This summer just like blew by. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but for some reason with this pandemic,
You're on mute, unmute yourself, John.
Okay. So I better keep an eye on that so I don't keep getting muted. Anyway, so we are going to talk about the biggest mistakes people make within this industry of network marketing. And I think it also ties into, my concept or that philosophy that I talk about all the time about small steps, right? Never underestimate the impact of every decision that we make, regardless of how small or insignificant it may seem at the time. It makes a difference on the outcome of our life. And many times these mistakes, these biggest mistakes that people make within this industry are also things that are very tiny. Okay, so I made a little bit of a list here, and we're going to kind of go through this. And the number one thing, I believe of the people that make mistakes is they spend their time with the wrong people. And so I'm going to expand, I'm going to elaborate on that. How are they spending their time, paid time versus no paid time, prejudging, right? Another huge mistake people make in this industry is prejudging people. Talking too much. I mean, that's another major mistake. They talk too much, they talk themselves out. And of course, everything, right, ties into that example that we set, because everything we do, right, sets that example what others think they have to do. Let's see here. I think you need to know everything, right? I mean, that's another major mistake that people make, thinking they need to know everything. This is a learn as you earn business. But so let's jump into this. And what I want each of you to do is, I really think this could be a really great conversation today. And I really would love to see a lot of great interaction today as well. But so think a little bit about some of the biggest mistakes that you've made, some of the biggest mistakes you see other people making. And of course, I want you to comment on the things that I talk about as far as the biggest mistakes people make. So let's jump into this. Number one biggest mistake I think people make is they spend time with the wrong people. Okay. I mean, you can waste 6 months, you can waste a year trying to make people do this business, right? Wanting people to do this business, thinking people are going to do this business, right? And you need to, and because, and at, you know, I think at the end of the day, we, you know, we are compassionate people. We care about people. We want them to succeed, but we can only do so much. And people can waste your time when you should be spending time with the right people or looking for the right people. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm just going to put that into mute so I don't get interrupted again. So anyway, so let's talk about this, and you know, because it can be misunderstood because everybody counts, right? So I don't want you to. We need to, you know, because this business is all about how you treat people, right? How you make people feel. People want to feel appreciated. They want to feel valued. They want to be heard. They want to be recognized. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's definitely about how you treat people. This is a relationship business. But that being said, we can spend our time with the wrong people. So we need to give everybody some time. You know, even if you're dripping on them, you're you know, making sure they're on calls, or, you know, you're encouraging people that are not doing it. So let's first identify, how do we identify the right people? Okay. And I like to use the analogy of fishing, right? So you're out fishing, you're, you know, you get a little nibble, you start reeling it in, and you're asking yourself, I wonder if this is a big fish or not. And here's the thing, if you got to ask, it's not. Because if it is a big fish, you know, it's, you know, the rod is pinned to the rail of the boat and you're taking out line, right? I mean, the right people leave clues is what I'm saying, right? So when we relate that to people, how do we know it's the right person? Because we can have someone that could be the right person. We can have someone that has all of the skills, all of the need, right? They need this business. But if they don't take the action, if they're doing the wrong things, if they're not staying plugged in, then, you know, they're not the right person right now. So you want to, you know, touch, you know, drip on them, keep them involved, but don't spend major time trying to force people to do the business. You can't force people to do this business. You've got to find the people that want to do this business and that are taking action and are actually doing the business. I mean, I find people will, you know, somebody will, you know, quit, or they'll leave, and they're all broken up and you know, upset about this. And I'm like, you know, thanks for letting me know, because if you wouldn't have told me they left, I wouldn't have known, you know, because they're not doing anything, right? I mean, you know, so how do you know when somebody's doing a business? Simple answer, they're doing a business, right? You don't have to call them to see if they're on the calls. They're on the calls. You know, you don't have to call them and say, hey, do you have somebody for me to talk to? They're asking you constantly to do three-ways and to you know, to get on the phone with people. They're at the events, right? They're doing the business, right? They're not talking about doing the business, because there's a big difference. And this can be something we can fall, or a trap that we fall in, is listening to people that tell you they're going to do the business, but they never actually do the business. They tell you, matter of fact, I've always, you know, said that, you know, when it's all said and done, there's always more said than done. It seems to me the biggest talkers are the ones that do the least, right? It's sometimes the quiet person that's just out there doing it. They're out there doing the activities. They're on the calls. You don't have to remind them. They always have people on the calls. They're always recruiting people. They're just doing it, right? So that's first thing, and what I believe to be one of the biggest mistakes. Don't misunderstand me. You know, spending time with the wrong people, biggest mistake, but everybody counts. We still have to drip on people. We still want them all here. You never know when they're going to turn into the right person. But I think, as I look at other people's businesses, as I look at my business, as I look at the 32 years I've been in this industry, and I really do believe this is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make, is spending time with the wrong people. Okay. Another thing I have here is pay time versus no pay time, is how they confuse activity with accomplishment, right? They're doing all of these non-pay time activities. And so what is the most important activity? If you're looking to grow your business, what is the most important activity? It's talking to people, right? It's talking to people that are not yet involved in your business or not yet using your product. Whether it's talking to people for yourself or whether you're talking to people for someone within your downline. But at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to grow any one of our businesses is new people. Okay, my business, your business, any one of our businesses. So how are you spending your time? You know, especially when they're, you know, this business is an emotional roller coaster. It's filled full of ups and downs. I don't care if you're in a company that's just absolutely exploding. It's temporary. It's going to flatten. It's going to dip. It's going to grow. It's part of the game, right? And so when things do dip, instead of doing what we need to do is get it out there and talking to new people, we tend to talk to other people in the business because misery loves company, and you together, you know, you create a hopeless environment by sharing these, these disappointments and oh man, this is tough and that's tough, and so you want to change that. Talk to the people you want to bring in, right? So pay time versus no pay time. How are you spending your time? I mean, if you want to look at your business and you want to grow it, I mean, this is and it ties into, it just popped into my mind too, something else I talk about in the book is this personal checkup, right? That's probably one of these upcoming chapters. This personal checkup is constantly asking yourself, how am I doing? And this is a great topic for that personal checkup. So how are we spending our time? Prejudging people, another major mistake. And it's hard not to, I kind of play with people in a way. I say, make two lists. Right? One list of all the people you know are going to do this business, and the other list of all the people you know won't do this business. And you'll be surprised that the list that you said will never do this business will be your most productive list. So don't prejudge. We want to give everybody that opportunity to say a no, right? And but we think, oh, this person makes too much money, or this person can't sell, this person's shy, this person could never do this. I mean, look at myself. I was shy, introverted, learning disability. Wouldn't even say hi to somebody unless they said hi to me first. But somebody at least gave me the opportunity, because you never know. Someone was told to me here a while back, and they said, you can take someone who is like no ambition, like a couch potato. And if they get inspired about something, you'll see somebody then go to work. And that's what can happen. You can take that person and prejudge that you think is lazy, that you think will never do anything. And if they get turned on, if they get excited about something, it's amazing what they can do, right? So don't prejudge. Talking too much. I mean, this is another major mistake that people make, is they talk too much. And they can't stand the silence sometimes of if in silence is golden. But when you're talking to people, and I use this all the time in my 3 ways, I use this in the prospecting, is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ready to get started, where are you? And I'm quiet, and I let them tell me where they are, so then I can spend my time or focus my energy on overcoming that objection. What do we tend to do? Talk, thinking we're going to, and people have short attention spans. I mean, that's another thing you need to do, is pay attention to other people you're talking to and their reaction, if you're holding their attention, right? Or if they're drifting or wandering, right? So, but talking too much is another major mistake. All of this ties into that example we're setting, right? Everything we do, right, sets that example what others think they have to do. If we're making the mistakes, guess what? We're teaching others to make that mistake. I mean, another big mistake that we make is we shortcut. I mean, we'll try to teach what others should do, but yet we shortcut it, right? And again, we teach a lot more about what we do than what we teach, right? The best way to teach is to do what you want your other people to be doing. Think you need to know everything. I mean, another major mistake that people make is thinking they need to know everything, especially people that have sales backgrounds, because that's traditional type sales, is they think they need to know everything. I mean, you talk to somebody coming out of insurance or coming out of, maybe they're a pharmaceutical rep or any type of traditional sales, they think they need to know everything, but they're trying to sell people, right? Network marketing is more of an emotional business. It's sharing. But if you think you need to know everything, guess what example you're setting? They think they need to know everything, right? If you come across as this unbelievable, I mean, you just mesmerize people with your knowledge, you might get them excited, but then they're going to go home, wake up the next day and think, I could never do that. I could never learn that. I could never, be that, right? So that's important as well, is don't think you need to know everything. I make a example, like in a room setting, this half of the room, let's not get stumped. Let's know everything about the product. Let's get that comp plan down from front to back. Let's understand everything we need to know. Last thing you want to do is get out there and have somebody tell you, trip you up, you don't know something, right? The other half of the room, just get excited and go tell somebody about this, and who's going to make the money, right? It's that other side, right? Because again, everything we do sets that example. Here's the other big mistake of thinking you need to know everything, is you never get started, because there's always more to know. And you lose all your momentum because you spend your first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days trying to figure it out, trying to get to know everything. So when you finally talk to somebody, you're educated. Well, now you're talking to them and you've blown that getting started story, right? So that's an important thing, is thinking you need to know too much. So anyway, I've been rambling here for 15 minutes about this topic. And I love this topic because, and I know there's things that I didn't bring up that you guys might bring up. So let's take and open it up, see if somebody wants to jump in here and give us what they think is the biggest mistake. Who wants to share?
Hey, John,
this is. Hi, Greg. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You sure? Okay. I go ahead. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Oh, there's so many nuggets and wisdom while listening to John, and I feel bad. I didn't have my notes with me because I'm a big note taker. I love to write notes. I don't rely on memory. And sometimes we get this type of information and knowledge from someone who is an expert in a specific field, and we don't write it down. So I feel bad. I'm at the gym. I didn't have my notepad with me, so that's one. I have to be honest, and my biggest mistake that I think I still encounter on a day-to-day basis, 6 years in a specific company, is prejudging people, because I have the fear. Prejudging people in a way that they are not good enough. In fact, my circle of friends are overachievers. They are successful in their own rights. They are professionals. So I have the fear of I overjudge them, that they don't need the products, they don't need the business because they are successful. They are nurses, they are physical therapists, they hold high rank in their job. So, but then what I've learned yesterday is me being, because I know I don't scare people by constantly being on their faces, like chasing them away. I position myself. I think I position myself in a way that they are aware of what am I doing. The products that I shared it on a daily basis, but it's just a matter of reaching out to them. So I encounter that fear. I don't have the fear of being rejected, because I accepted the fact that people are not designed to be entrepreneurs or have the business mindset right away. It takes time, but at the same time, it's reaching out to them. It's just a matter of me reaching out to them and sharing the product. So, for instance, yesterday, I have the short-term goal, like the summer sizzling contest that we have. So that's I use it as a short-term goal for me to achieve. So I need 10 customers. So I reach out to my friends yesterday. It's just a matter of them asking for support. So I make myself vulnerable to them. I'm asking them for support. So I'm not sending messages to strangers. I'm sending messages to my friends. I'm asking them to support me because I'm going into my company's incentive trip and I need the support. So I think that's common mistakes, especially if you are successful in your career right now, you are afraid to reach out to your friends that are successful. Another thing is have this preconceived fear in the business. So I don't have that personal problem, but I've seen that around for people who sign up the business and then it takes them, as Jan said, you have this preconceived notion of it takes you 30 days to figure out like, oh, I have to know everything. And you have the fear of talking to people, of sharing to people. I'll say, keep it so simple. And you have to build the belief in yourself, use the products. So, when you believe in the products, people can see your convictions also. So don't overanalyze. And sometimes, as John reiterated earlier, you don't have to know everything. For me, I just have to find where to get the information. That's why I'm big on notes. I talk about time management, where you can find the information, the notes on your smartphone, a planner. I use that a lot. So I know where to find the information as well, because whether we like it or not, we are already professionals. Before we enter network marketing, if we are engaged in a traditional job, we are professionals and people will judge us. How much do we know? And ask yourself, are you going to follow someone who seems like doesn't know anything in their business? So you seem like someone who doesn't know anything, then you approach someone who is successful in their business. You think they will follow you or they'll listen to you? So I think that confidence in you also, it will radiate to other people. So that's it, John. I'm going to give it to Greg.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I was going to comment a little bit on what you had said too, because you just kind of, closed with the confidence thing, because people buy people, right? I mean, even if you don't know, but if you come across with confidence and excitement, that is definitely going to attract people and get them to want, hey, you're on to something here. I mean, I can feel your excitement and your energy. That's a huge, huge deal. The other thing is what you talked about at the very beginning, Raphael, about just, asking, for help, the contest that you're talking about, and you're just asking people, because so many times we're so afraid, right? We're afraid to, for that rejection of what somebody might think about us. So we don't ask. And you would be surprised if you just ask, right? If you just ask, would you consider buying my product? Would you try this? You'd be blown away, folks. If you just took that one tip that Raphael just gave you. I think you told me yesterday you got 5 new customers. Is that what you?
I had 7 last night.
7 new customers because she asked, right? Because she asked, folks. I mean, that's incredible. So anyway, Greg, go ahead. What were you going to share with us?
Can you hear me, John?
I can.
Sorry. So I think just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, Raphael did a really good job. She took a couple things that I was going to say and elaborated on them. So all really good stuff. But I think for me, over the years, there's different levels to things, but, through and through, I think we sometimes get into the business. And as we start building a team, you said we spend too much time with the wrong people. And really, what does that look like? For me, it was, wanting it more for people than they wanted it for themselves, or contacting the same, 10 or 15 people, over and over, trying to pull business out of them instead of focusing on being in a phase 1 activity, or, focusing on that, that personal growth and really growing there. And then secondly, I think for me, and what I see a lot for, just different people that I'm working with, it's the consistency or the lack of consistency, better yet. So, I typically recommend like a DMO. So what would somebody be doing every day? Because sometimes people are so close to success and they get the ball rolling and then they stop, or, they get a little bit of success and then they stop. And, momentum, it's not always easy to create. Sometimes it just happens. But one thing's for sure, you can lose momentum faster than you caught it by not being consistent. And, this business is fairly simple. You just got to do simple tasks. But the lack of consistency, I think, kills most people's dreams in this industry, because they don't believe it's possible, because they're not consistent long enough to see the results. So I think long term, it's the consistency. And then piggybacking off of what you said, John, was spending too much time with the wrong people, and wanting it more for other people than they want it for themselves, and really just staying in that phase 1 personal growth, focusing on your personal numbers and working with the people that want it, working with the people that don't make you beg them to build business. And that's exhausting. So that can literally kick you out of the business faster than anything is, the deflation of your excitement through watching people, not do the business, and you're wanting it more for them. You end up kind of putting your goals on the back burner, focusing on people who aren't going to do the business. Anyway, that was my 2 cents, but I definitely
no, absolutely
what you said in Rap Show. That was very awesome.
Yeah, no, that was phenomenal, Greg. You said so many things I'd like to comment on. Just right at the end there, where you talk about exhausting. It is. I mean, when you're working with the right people, it is exciting. It is motivating. I mean, when you're working with the right people, again, it. But when you're working with the wrong people, it is exhausting. Trying to drag people, that's no fun. But again, there's a fine line there between trying to make people do the business, spending too much time with them, and dripping on them, keeping them involved, because you never know when they're going to become that right person. So you got to use a little bit of your gut instinct, because here's what's happened. If you're even in the prospecting, you talked about, trying to get, somebody to be so good, and you're talking to them, trying to get them to understand that, that they need to do this. I mean, some of your best prospects may take a year to recruit, right? I mean, so don't ever give up on them. But again, here's another area that can be a big mistake, because if we push too hard, if we hound people too much, guess what we're going to do? We're going to shut them down. We're going to drive them away. So there's a balance act there as well of dripping on them, keeping, those people that are not ready involved without pushing them out. Prospects, there's a way to drip on them without pushing them away. Right. So there's a fine line. There's a maybe we could call a little bit of an art or a gut instinct that you need to, employ there from that standpoint. Excellent stuff, Greg. Thank you.
Hey,
John,
John,
can I just pop in one more? Maybe you can talk on this, John.
Yep.
Is just real quick, and I was just thinking about this. I forgot to say this. It's bouncing. One thing I noticed in my first business venture years ago, that there was always a new system or a new shiny object, and changing what you do and then redirecting your team to do different things. I noticed that sometimes in the industry kind of cripples teams and organizations, and just kind of wanted to put that out there. And maybe
but that's another great one, Greg, that we could put down as another big mistake. And whether any when that old saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. A lot of times in this industry, when the going gets tough, because it always will. Again, the roller coaster, right? They constantly get discouraged, and they think everything should be perfect and everything should always be like this. It isn't, right? And so then they go chase rabbits, as it said in this business, constantly trying to chase that. But it's exactly true, Greg, in the system too. I mean, the one thing that I'm known for is my consistency, right? There's nothing fancy about me, but I keep doing the same thing over and over. And it kind of, you mentioned also earlier the DMO. We could do a whole session just on that DMO. But that focus, not being distracted by the next hot deal or the next hot idea on how to do the business. I mean, not that you shouldn't try other things, not that you shouldn't maybe experiment, but don't go run your people over the top of a cliff on a hunch of what you think might really work to grow the business. Stay focused on the system, stay focused on the company battle cry. Okay. So who else wants to jump in here?
Hey, John, Siv.
Go ahead, Siv.
Okay, awesome. Hey, man, a lot of great stuff that we're talking about, and you're absolutely right, John. Spending time with the wrong people. And I got a lot of notes here. And for me personally, it's paralysis of analysis. That's the number one thing. I've just thought I had to be perfect. If you connect that with low self-esteem and no confidence, your life totally sucks when you're trying to build this business, right? Because you're like, I want to recruit the perfect person. You got to be the perfect person because you attract, you become all that crazy stuff, and you just got to put your head down and do it. And you guys talked about it, and Greg thanks for bringing that up. It's the idea thing, right? Ideas are a dime a dozen. If people just take more action, like recently, I'm just like taking more action. I know if I messed up on a couple of prospects, but guess what? I learned from that and I keep moving. And it gave me an opportunity to go back and say, hey, you know what? I got like I said, I'm just really excited and blah, blah, blah. Really, and you said something also, John, is you're wanting it too fast. When you're talking to people, sometimes you got to meet them where they're at. Slow down and speed up. Go about the relationship before the business, because the business is about relationships. Right? It's a people business. And the only way you can get people to do the business is if you're about their business. And so slowing down to speed up and really connect with people on a deeper level. Sometimes you might have to be the one that slows down the conversation with people. Say, hey, Mike, I really just want to connect with you. Like, where are you from? Things like that, right? And I know sometimes it's awkward because guess what? We don't do that. We're so focused on a business, but really connect to people. It is a people business, and you do have to become a better person at connecting with people. And man, it's crazy. I can't read my own handwriting because there's so many great things that came up. It's like, man, I'm so excited. Yeah, paralysis analysis. You're never gonna be the perfect person, and you don't ever want to recruit a perfect person because guess what? They're never gonna do anything. The person that's imperfect, excited. You hear so many stories, like really reigniting that again and accepting people for where they're at. Like there's so many people that are now getting into business with us, wanting to do what we do, because some of them could be excited about the coffee. Some of them can be excited about the wellness on the digestive product. Just give people an opportunity to be excited about what they want to be excited about, but simply relating to them and letting them know, hey, you know what? We're just real people, and just being relatable to them. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of great things. I just wanted to come on here real quick, just say my biggest thing is the perfection thing. Yeah, I battle with it all the time. And one thing that solves that is I just got to get into action. I have my DMO. Greg mentioned that. I plan my daily method of operation. I also plan my prospecting. That's really helped me a lot. Just focus on activity sometimes takes you away from the main activity. And it's really understanding people. Knowing that I'm talking to certain people today and, knowing what they're really about tomorrow and setting that conversation up for tomorrow has really made a big difference in my prospecting. Because, if you're not just there to prospect, you're there to really find out how you can serve people, and setting up your prospecting with purpose has really been the big thing. But my biggest thing was paralysis analysis, because I wanted to always be the perfect guy. So back to you, John.
Wow, there's so much that you said there. So, one of the things you talked about right at the end there is, at the end of the day, what is that? The prospect is what's in it for them, right? And you need to make sure when you're prospecting, when you're talking to people, when you're working with even existing people, you're trying to help them. It's not about you, right? Because we as an upline, if we help that person, we're going to be taken care of in the process. That's just the way network marketing works, right? So that's an important point. So making sure that when your message, your intent, when you're communicating with people, they're not getting, some attitude of selfishness that you might be coming across because it's about you, right? It's about them. Right. So I think that's important. You talked about essentially beating yourself up. Right. I think we all have a tendency to do that as we beat ourselves up and we're so hard on ourselves, and not that, that won't help push ourselves against that grindstone. And what has Zig Ziglar said? Life is like a grindstone. It's either going to polish you up or it's going to grind you down. But being hard on ourselves, beating ourselves up will push us to grow and to get better, but it can also paralyze us, right, from doing something because we don't think we're good enough, or we don't know enough, or we can't do something. One of the things that I heard that really made a lot of sense to me way back when, I have no idea where I heard it, but it was, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, meaning whoever you're talking to, if you likely know more about it than they do, right? So when you mess up, when they don't know, because they don't know anything about what it is you're sharing with them. So the land of the blind and one-eyed man is king. So even if you don't have confident in the information you are delivering because it impacts. And so that brings me to one other thing you said too, which was go back. Right, you talked about you blew a couple prospects just recently, like 3 people. You said you 3 prospects. Here's the thing: you can always go back and say, hey, listen, I talked to you last week about something. I talked to you 3 months ago about something. I talked to you a year ago about something, and I got to apologize because I really messed up. I didn't know what I was talking about. I remember what I shared with you, and I was just like, yeah, but I do know now. And now I want to share with you the right message, right? So you can always go back. And also going back every time something new happens, new product, anything that something new happens, you can always go back to someone. So I think in a sense, I don't think we ever completely blow a prospect because we can always go back. Hey, I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was talking about. I'm sorry that what I shared with you wasn't correct, but I know now. Okay, and do that with confidence. So who else? I think somebody else was trying to jump in right when Siv was. Who was that?
Hey, John, it's Mike Castillo, and you just want to add to what you guys are talking about the mistakes. I think what I'm going to add is 3 short things. I know I've done some of them to some extent, and if it's done worse to me, I know I put that in my list. Like I better not do those because that's not how I want to learn to do this business professionally. I've only been here supporting my wife initially for over 2 years. But what was the 3 things I want to share is like, look, what you just said right now is basically the mistakes. It's not a death sentence to make a mistake with your friends. I have a friend like that who hasn't bought anything from me for 2 years. And I just like what Raphael said, I just asked for support, and what I'm promoting is really, I can apologize for the method of throwing up on them in the past, and that's great. But I'm never gonna apologize for the mission I'm trying to accomplish with the company. So I just make them understand that better, that this is because of this. This is why I do this because of this. And then I got an order from a friend who realized, okay, so that's what you're doing now. It's like a job. So the 3 other mistakes that I want to I guess share, because it's done to me many times. One of them is the guaranteed income fairy. It doesn't exist, right? So people sometimes will come at you and say, oh, you can earn this. You already know that if they're not giving you value, and they can only throw numbers at you, there's already a red flag there. So that's one of them. And the other one is the home wrecker move. People do that. They ask what company you're with, and all of a sudden they're bad mouthing your company. And that's not elevating the industry one bit or being professional about it. I don't care how many years they say they've been in the industry, but wrecking my home and saying bad things about my company, they're going to get deleted really fast. And then I'll know that they're not really professionals about it. And the other mistakes I want to share is the ambush move. Like when someone decides they want to meet with you in a meet and greet, it's not an opening to throw your business at them. Sometimes it's really to connect. So it's been done to me where I agreed to a meet and greet, and I got ambushed with a group of people ready to present to me. And to get away from that, I just randomly said, thank you for the visual meet and greet where I get to see all your faces. And I stopped it right there. So I hope that those mistakes help, because I've been a victim of it, and I've done some of it myself. So back to you guys. Thank you, John.
Thank you. There's so much that you just said too. I mean, we could keep going on and on about this topic because it's so crucial. What you just said about the ambush mode, because here's the mistake people will make, right? Or when you're being prospected, let's just say, by someone else to look at their business. This is a huge mistake. If you say, okay, I'll look at yours if you look at mine. I mean, folks, that is a lose-lose scenario, right? I mean, when somebody says, hey, I'll look, let's say you're prospecting somebody, and they say, well, I'll look at what you're doing if you look at what I'm doing. Again, if you fall into that trap, I'm telling you, you're done, because neither one of you are listening to each other. All you're looking to do is try to tear the other person's deal apart, right? While you're thinking of what's wrong and why yours is better. I'm telling you, this is the way you got to treat that. Whether you're ambushed and they say, well, I want to show you this, or you're prospecting somebody and they say, I'll look at yours if you look at mine, or they're prospecting you. You have to react this way if you want to have a positive result. Listen, I have no interest in what it is you're doing, but you do need to look at what I'm doing. right? Because here's the thing, people by people, whoever comes across with the greatest level of belief and confidence about what it is that they're doing is going to have the influence over the other person. Because when you say, sure, I'll look at what you're doing, if you look at what I'm doing, what you've shown weakness. You've shown that, hey, if it's really good, I might be interested, right? You're showing weakness, and you're showing that you possibly are open, right? I mean, people by people. You need to, listen. I'm sure what you're doing is great. I don't have an interest. I don't care what it is. I am rock solid in what I am doing. Right. So, I mean, I'd love to share with you what I'm doing. I'd like you to look at what I'm doing, but I don't have any interest in what it is you're doing. It makes a big difference because the message is showing such conviction to what it is you're doing. It's going to question what they're doing. And they're like, wow, I mean, you're really serious about this. Maybe I better look. It works. I'm telling you, that's the attitude that you need to have there. So who else wants to jump in here?
I want to jump in, John.
Go ahead, Robin.
All right. So I've done all the mistakes that have been listed. One of the very first meetings that I went to was time management, and I looked around me and I had all my paint supplies just surrounding me because I paint rocks. That's all I do. It's not a money-making activity. It's a kindness activity. So I justified myself and what I was doing. So I put away everything and I went business, 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 and I was jumping on everything and making sure I stayed plugged in and learning everything. I spent my first 90 days just learning everything without talking to really anybody. And when I did, I was just, throwing up in their face everything that I was learning, and that's not what they want to hear. And, I just made so many mistakes, so I feel like after 90 days, I had to start over. I had to start cleaning up my personal page, stop being so in everybody's face all the time. And I learned a lot about self-love and self-growth, but I also lost myself during the process of finding myself. And I recently just found myself just this last weekend by just stepping outside of Valentis and going back to my painting. I was with a friend at an event and I rocked her table out. I brought some of my Valentis stuff, but I didn't want to talk to anybody about Valentis. I just wanted to take a break and just get back to my kindness and painting rocks. And people are coming up to me. People are talking to me. I was sharing my love for kindness and what I do. They got interested and we opened up to each other. I don't know who these people are, but they were coming to me because they saw me and saw what I was doing, because you can still do what you're doing and do Valentis at the same time. So I stopped what I was doing, and that was wrong. That was a big mistake for me because I stopped me. I stopped sharing me. And so once I started sharing me again, people came to me on their own, and I was able to open up to them. They opened up to me, conversations started, and then health and wellness just started on their own. And hey, this is my journey now, but this is my new journey. And it was so much simpler to bring my new journey in along with my current journey that I've always been on. And so my biggest mistake was actually a learning experience. And so when I have a mistake in my life, I don't consider it a mistake. I consider it an experience. We learn from our experiences. So that's what I'm going to end with that. So.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point, Robin, because, you're dealing with people like, when you had that booth set up this past weekend, that's their interest, right? And it's how you connect with them and it's how you build that rapport with them. And what it does is it opens them up to you. So now they're open to maybe something else that you might be doing. Right. And so when you made that complete switch where you just like went cold turkey into it wasn't you, right? It wasn't you. So you have to still be you. Don't lose your passion of who you are, but take what we have and make it a part of it. Right. So that's fantastic. Who else wants to?
That was my aha moment, John. We had that talk last Friday. I thought I had my aha moment before, but that was my aha moment.
Well, you'll have more aha moments.
Yes.
Okay. Who else wants to share?
John, this is Roger.
Yes, Roger.
I tell you what, I am that guy that's been in the company for 1 year, procrastinating. I have lacked discipline, and I really want this. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically saying, okay, Roger, I'm going to trick my mind. What I'm going to do to trick my mind is my kids are starting school in 2 weeks or a week. So I'm saying I'm going to Valenta school. As soon as they go to school, I'm going to prospect. Money is not an issue because I make money in the real estate business, but I need to trick my mind. I need to say every day that they go to school, I go out. I show people the product. I share the product. That's my biggest problem. Just procrastination. I know that I can do this. I know that people gravitate to me. It's just that I lost myself in when I should jump in. When should this product come out? When am I going to promote this product? Oh, this is the perfect product. I can't wait for CBD. I can't wait for this. I can't wait. I'm waiting. My mentor, which everybody knows and I brag about her every day, Rap Shell, put so much into me that it's not my upline. It's nothing. I have nothing to wait for. I just have to jump in. So I am that guy that you guys are talking about. Don't give up on certain people. Rap Shell did not give up on me, and I'm going to do it. I'm just tricking my mind. I'm saying when school starts, Valenta starts, I'm going to be out there every day. That's all I had to say.
No, that's fantastic, Roger. And it's what popped into my mind. It's better to get going than get it right? Because getting going will you'll learn and you earn. Because there's so many people that they're going to get going just as soon as. Zig Ziglar talks about that, the soon as group. I'm going to get going just as soon as it warms up. And then it's too warm, when it cools back down, and then the kids are out of school, and it's constantly, we make excuses of why we're procrastinating, and we somehow try to justify that. And so, yeah, it's a big mistake people make. And so you're kind of drawing a line in your sand, in the sense that, hey, listen, I am going to, kids go back to school in 2 weeks. I am going to, I'm going to school, Valenta school. And you're creating that DMO. You're creating that DMO, that kicks in when you drop them off at school, right? So that's fantastic. Who else wants to jump in here? Come on.
Hey, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, I can relate to that, Roger. I have 8 children, and this summer is still going on. I just did roundup like a few days ago with them. As a parent, like, it's really tough, man. When you have like, you know what you want to accomplish in life, for your family, and just really to change the family tree. But you just like, every time you try to just get out there and do it, and you're like, this is going to be the time, it's going to be the time. There's always something new, right? That's what I realized. And yeah, it's we know enough people, especially with social media. If you're on here, I know everybody has like a Facebook account. We know enough people. We just got to go out there, and that's what I think the biggest thing I had to do over the summer was talk to my family, like, and just, I had to sit down again and just say, hey, listen, kids, this is what dad's got to focus on. These are some of the things that we have to give up, because I think that's also really important to know, is that, hey, this is what we're going towards, but also these are the things that we have to give up in the process of going towards this direction. And so having that conversation with my children, and also just, again, it goes back to my biggest problem was, one, spending time with the wrong people, and also like wanting everything to be perfect before I go out there and do it. And you know what? It's better that it's not perfect. In some cases, the dog's like barking and the kids are yelling, and I'm on the phone doing a 3-way with John or somebody, and it's crazy, but that's reality. And I think that's really what opens people up to know that, hey, if Civ can do this in the midst of all this craziness, hey, I think it might be easier for me, right? So I don't know, like, so I can relate to that, Roger, in terms of like setting that time and getting ready to get started is, I know that when you get down to it, you can start realizing that, maybe the same thing I realized was, it's never going to be a perfect time. But it's always a great time to just connect with people, and you don't know what you don't know. And I've had a friend that was just in Thailand, right? That just bought from me yesterday. I just simply asked him for support, for the 6-day experience. But he decided, you know what? I was in Thailand for like 2 weeks. I gained 12 pounds. And I think I need to take this a little bit more serious. And so he got started with the, just a whole tub of coffee just to get started. And then later on, he found out that, hey, you guys have other products. Like, Sib, why didn't you tell me? And that's the thing that, and again, it's never going to be perfect. It's just, you got to get started because there's somebody out there that's looking for you. So back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's never going to be perfect. I mean, that's a takeaway there, guys. It's never, because we sit there and want everything to be perfect. It will never, nothing is perfect. So, okay. So we're coming up, probably to close out here. Pal, you got your hand up here?
Yes, John. Just like Brother Sip said, I said, keep it real, let it feel, let it flow, let's grow. Okay, just be real. We have fear. We all have fear. That's the word, because a lot of us not admit it, because a lot of us stay in the comfort zone. I mean, there's always something come up, this and that, because this business is simple. If you don't take it like personal, all you do is just keep talking to people and build relationship. People business, you have to connect with the people, and then you drive the business. You don't prospecting, talking about the product and all that. Get to know them first, listen to their problem, and there you go. Boom, right there. It's not about we can all say this and that. Calm down. If there's no action, there's nothing happen, because everything is take action. Word is just a word. Without action, nothing happen. That's my take, John. Thank you so much for letting me jump in. Woo-hoo!
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. One of the things that popped into mind as you're talking is, we never fail. We just learn. We never fail. We only quit. Right. If you keep going, you're going. I mean, this is a business of focus and consistency. You can, even if you're doing everything wrong, you're still getting more done than someone that's not doing anything at all. Right. I mean, even if you're doing it all wrong, you're still doing better than the person doing nothing. So take action. I think that's another takeaway here. Take action, and sometimes we get in that sense where and I'm kind of this way, where it's like all or nothing. Just anything you do is moving you forward, right? And so just do something. Stay involved, stay engaged, and luck is when activity meets accomplishment, right? So anyway, thank you all. This was a great chat. Next week, we're going to be talking about tools, and I'm really excited about that conversation as well. And remember, if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Share it, hit that notification button so you're notified when there's a new video posted or something. But there's some great stuff on there. And so we'll see you guys on Monday, and again next Friday for this Fireside Chat. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.